Why don't you pull up a chair and lean in? Now, let me tell you a little something about the Glen. Watkins Glen, a small town with a mighty roar. It all started back in '48, the day they stopped the trains. Dirt, gravel, cement, and an army of American pride. You know that was the first race after World War II? Well, now you know. Small but mighty. Yes, we are. How small? Well, Watkins Glen is actually a village. And the local track, well, it's as big as the whole area. And nasty, too.
Jeff Bodine has crashed hard. Neither one of these guys are happy here.
We have got cars everywhere.
Big wreck behind you.
Carnage down here at the end of pit road.
I love road racing. It's crazy.
Some learn the Glen is an especially proud small town. Once they get a taste of it, they don't want to let it go.
Tony Stewart winner at Watkins Glen.
But here comes that roar again. Rumbling off the plains down to the lake, throughout the entire village. Yeah, someone's gonna lead the pack. Someone's gonna make their own small town proud. Someone's gonna take the Glen. Someone.
From humble beginnings to this, the spectacular sight that is Watkins Glen International on a beautiful Sunday in August, where again thousands of race fans have come just as they have since 1956 to watch great drivers take on one of the world's great road courses. Today, for the 25th time in the modern era, it's the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series competing on these speedy straights and twisting turns. 43 drivers all hoping to be the one to take home the trophy back to their hometown. If the more famous oval tracks have personality, the Brickyard, the Tricky Triangle, the Lady in Black, then this place is loaded with character, and it changes from turn to turn to turn. Here's Mike Massaro.
The challenges drivers face here at Watkins Glen are immediate. Turn number one, a very sharp 90-degree right-handed turn heading downhill. Here, drivers are heavy on the brakes, down through the gears as they decelerate from speeds beyond 100 miles per hour down to speeds close to 50 miles per hour. The key here, be smooth and be careful not to wheel hop. If you do, it could be a very long day. Turn number one, extremely unforgiving.
And turn one sets drivers up for one of the most critical parts of the track, the S's. If a car is handling well, a driver will be completely flat, getting optimum speed to set them up for the longest and the fastest section of the track. It is here a driver can make up time or they can lose time if not precise.
And that leads you to the bus stop, which is often referred to as the inner loop. It's a quick right, left, right that's attached to the inside of a high-speed straightaway. You have to brake hard on entry to get into that turn sequence, and if you overcharge that initial entry, you'll push the nose of the car, ultimately ruining your final exit. The best drivers can gain some time here, but you can definitely lose time at the bus stop. We saw a couple off-road excursions and spins here in the nationwide race yesterday. It's one of those spots that can turn a good day into a bad day in a hurry.
Finally, these traditionally counterclockwise racers take on one of the few left-handers at Watkins Glen. They carry a ton of speed coming out of the carousel. They take it down and have to hit their turn-in exact, or they can expect big trouble. Then they're onto a rhythm section, the final right-hander, that becomes either just another lap or a trip to victory lane.
The challenge that is Watkins Glen International today for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. And ESPN welcomes you to NASCAR Countdown for today's race. Our ESPN pit studio perfectly located behind the pit lane overlooking the start-finish line and with victory lane right next door. We welcome you inside. Alan Bestwick along with two-time Watkins Glen winning driver Rusty Wallace and now three-time Watkins Glen winning team owner Big Brad Daugherty. As a driver, as an athlete, when you come to a place with a lot of history, Do you pay attention to the history, or is it all about the present?
No, I pay a lot of attention to the history. You come to a track like Watkins Glen, where it had a lot of Formula One people that drove this track, IndyCar guys, famous names, stuff like that. I think of the Daytona 500. I pay a lot of attention to history there, a lot of attention to history at Indianapolis and stuff like that. I don't do it at all the racetrack, but the ones I just mentioned, I do pay a lot of attention to.
Yeah,
Respect.
That's exactly right. And in any sport, when you come into a venue that has such a storied past, a place like Watkins Glen that just is not only known nationally but internationally, yeah, there's a little bit of extra pressure. You feel that old throat getting a little bit tighter. Everything becomes bigger, larger, brighter. The colors are more vivid. So, yeah, it creates an air of responsibility as a performer or as an athlete to do and give your very best, especially when they load the fans in here.
Yeah, and it looks like a great day to be at a race here in Watkins Glen. The weather's just perfect today. Let's talk about, you heard our reporters describe the course and the challenges of the different sections of the course for a driver, for a team. What are the challenges of racing at Watkins Glen?
Well, Alan, number one, they're doing things out there they normally don't do. They normally don't turn left and right on these oval racetracks, but here they do. And there's a lot of areas that make mistakes. The mistakes are probably the number one thing they can mess up throughout the race. I mean, whether you shift wrong, you brake wrong, you wheel hop, many things can go wrong right here at Watkins Glen, but above all, just making a pile of mistakes. There's a lot of opportunities to do that.
Yeah, when you go 1 through 43, the message is pretty clear on one thing that has to happen throughout the day in order to have a successful day. Not necessarily getting the victory lane, but surviving. You have to keep your race car in condition enough to be able to advance each lap. You are beating and banging on this race car all day long, and you got to stay on the racetrack, just like Rusty said. You got to survive throughout the day to give yourself a shot.
A lot more places to make mistakes, a lot more places to get into trouble on a road
yes,
course.
Sir.
That is for sure. Now, qualifying was held midday Saturday, and the fastest time was set by Carl Edwards. Edwards really carried some speed up the hill in the S's to edge the Ganassi guys, Jamie McMurray and Juan Pablo Montoya, by 3.5 tenths of a second for the Coors Light Pole Award. Now can he get his first win of the season today, Mike Massaro?
Thank you, Alan. And for the first time since 2008, Carl Edwards is on the pole. Starting out front today, what will the approach be?
It was a great lap for our Aflac Fusion, and I don't know what I'm going to do with myself up there in the front. The best I've qualified here before on speed is, I think, 26th or something. So I made sure to make it to the driver's meeting because Bob would kill me if I messed this up. So for us, it's to stay out front, you know, to get comfortable with a pace. Hopefully we're very competitive with the leaders, and it'll be a different day for me if we can do that. I'm so used to starting in the back and having to work strategy and drive my heart out. And then once you get up there to the front, you know, you only get to race those guys for a few minutes at the end of the race. So it'll be nice to be able to race with them all day. Hopefully we can capitalize on the momentum we've had the last few weeks and be huge to get a win here.
And talking about momentum, with Greg Biffle's win a week ago, your teammate, it seems like Roush Fenway has turned the corner. How would you assess the performance of this entire organization right now going into today's race?
I used to be the guy that would, I mean, I said publicly I don't believe in momentum. I don't think any of that stuff's true, but the last few weeks have kind of proven me wrong. You know, we've run very well. Greg Biffle's win was huge for Ford and for Roush, and you know, and then we ran that lap in qualifying, and we're fast in race trim, and it just feels good to be a part of this organization right now. And I'm proud of all the guys for I mean, keeping their heads up and working hard. It's so easy in this sport to get run down when things aren't going well, and it looks like we may have weathered the worst of it. So I hope that's the case.
And Alan, they're looking to keep their momentum going, looking for his first career road course win in the Cup Series, that is.
All right, Michael, thank you. And coming up next, the terrible crash suffered by Elliott Sadler last Sunday at Pocono, his return to the track, the technology that kept him safe, and changes to this track to keep the drivers safer. And later, part 2 of Marty Smith's exclusive interview with 4-time champion and 4-time Watkins Glen winner, Jeff Gordon. Why he's still competing for wins and championships instead of being retired as he originally planned. When NASCAR Countdown continues from the Glen. Glen International, where the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series goes racing for a 25th time in the modern era today. Before we talk more about this race, let's look back at last Sunday's race at Pocono that included the scariest crash of the season. This track is big, and it's going to take a couple minutes to run the jet dryers around there.
We're going to go racing, it looks like, so you got to get prepared, get ready to go.
The 21st race of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is green. Let's go 3 wide. Harvick's the meat in this sandwich. Look out McMurray.